consumer. And the way you make a snowflake, just in case you're not familiar with that, I'm going to start the timer just to make sure that I show that it's possible in 3 minutes. I'm going for a square shape. Okay, so I just did the initial fold. And with this, not super important that you get it perfect, but I do care about quality. So, just at the first level of approximation, by me doing that, you can see that I've made an approximate circle shape, right? I don't need to unfold it when I'm working. That's a little bit of waste in my process. But now I can do interesting things. I can cut a triangle out of that. I can cut a square. I can do a partial unfold and cut another shape on the edge. And another one. I can do really beautiful, interesting things. Unfold it at the end, and I get a snowflake. Voila. Okay, that only took me a minute and a half to demonstrate that. So
you're not looking for 6-way symmetry, I take it.
He cares for quality.
6-way symmetry is not important. No.
Okay.
How would you define a snowflake? Is that a snowflake, or can we have other shapes too?
You can have almost any shape. I do expect it to have some symmetry that's more than bilateral symmetry. And I expect an overall rounded shape. But you know, I could easily have done something more intricate at this end, like that, and I get other things happening out of the edges. Okay, so we will have lots of paper. You were looking at the way we measure. In the check phase, we're actually going to track our statistics up on the board. We're going to track what your inventory levels are, how many scissors you have, as well as any other metrics you feel like tracking.
What do you do with that metric and inventory and money? How does it?
Oh, so I'm actually going to let you start out with $3. You will have a chance to approach me and attempt to sell the snowflake. And I will pay you if I like the snowflake.
So we are assuming that our acceptance criteria would be based on what we show and the feedback we get from you.
This is more like a deployment or a release. When I pay you for a snowflake, that's when you get your feedback as to whether it was something that's marketable.
Okay. And we buy things, then we pay for 2 papers we pay $1. But how do we get money back?
So
what is the value of one snowflake?
If you need the value of a snowflake is in the eye of the beholder. So
he pays us.
sometimes when I run this workshop, I have 3 or 4 people helping me, and so there can be a little variety in how they perceive the value, and so sometimes people learn, oh, my snowflakes sell better with that person than the other, but it's not an important detail.
Okay, I hear you. So based on the quality of the snowflake, you will pay. You will decide the money, the price tag for it.
The value of the snowflake is in the eye of the beholder, just like you. Some people like certain snowflakes and other people like others.
Absolutely, but that is how we make
No,
money.
that's paper. Oh, we have to buy paper.
Well, you have 5 sheets of paper. You have to use the paper I supplied.
But we can buy more.
And you can buy more if you want more scissors. If, whatever you find is a bottleneck to your creating value, you can solve that. You have the means to solve that. So we need at least these 3. If you feel like coming up with more metrics, that's fine. You can add that. And we'll just keep track of each sprint. So that's number 1. Any questions?
How about this?
then basically we'll kind of see what the reaction to that is and then figure out what we want to do with that next experience. Yeah, so I will take that as an action item for this sprint to actually do a sprint of fold and then hand it to you after you finish the large one. Does that make sense?
So we're going to do a large snowflake and a small snowflake to see if he accepts small snowflakes. But we know we'll get money from the big ones. So that's-
Yeah.
You never know, maybe we might get more money from this one.
Yeah. I like it.
So why not we go ahead with?
I think that way is more.
Yeah, I'm doing the lateral, right?
Yeah.
You want to cut? Go ahead and cut into.
Going east-west.
You see, I'm doing right.
You're doing it right now.
Somebody has to make sure that I'm not.
It's the only way to navigate Boston.
Or are we way out?
Okay.
Unless you get a GPS system, you don't have to worry about it.
You've got 3 minutes to make your snowflakes.
Oh, 3 minutes?
Okay.
Okay, we've got to do it.
But John's not back yet.
Start? Okay.
Good luck with this.
Okay, that's fine. We'll start anyways.
Make the one.
We're up here.
Save the scrap. That might be useful later.
Now losing
I did.
Hey,
I just keep folding it around this one bit.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, and then you just
You'll take it.
Yep, exactly.
That's good.
And what did you do after that?
You want to start playing
Yeah.
with the song?
Right? Got it?
What do you think?
Now, these little guys are really going to become little. That's interesting. We're losing a lot of paper from the little ones.
Circular? He likes circular. Not square.
No, we need not move it.
Hard to do. Yeah.
We need not move it.
Carol, you like we should.
You've got one chair.
So how does it happen?
There's a small one.
Okay.
One and then.
Here, well, cut it
Give
out.
me that sheet of paper. Let me actually.
Can we change it into circular?
You should be able to do that.
Yeah.
He's saying that it's square, not circular.
So it needs to be curved.
Yes.
and-
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's
Oh, no, let's cut this off.
Yeah, I'm not quite circles, but.
So,
Can you make it circular?
no, don't worry. Just cut that for me.
So pull that and then.
So what's this?
Yeah, nice. Yep.
Wow.
Actually, I can probably there.
It's square to me.
Kind of two.
And I don't buy square.
But the
Alright.
Should also 50 cents? Okay, so should I give you both in 50 cents? Yeah. Other one, where is that? Maybe we have improvised it. Maybe you might like that. We are trying to, what do you think about it? Come on.
Your life is just not
something
complete
about the
without
symmetry that's
spinning
off.
here, simply.
So, I think from the
And
last
then do we
time,
wait until we
quality's
actually
gone down.
complete it and then
Or
show
maybe
it
it's
to
the
you, or do
same,
we
I'm
show
not
it to you
sure.
right away?
Don't go in there.
It's, okay, so both of those for $1.
Thanks a lot. Okay. So we need to improvise, but we
And
have
right
not
Point is, you
gone.
want to
Go
have
ahead.
a pie-piece, see if this is folding or not.
And right
Now, within some of the waste pieces, I can get.
Yeah.
Let me go back
No,
to that.
unfortunately, we got to redo
Start
the
from the
chairs.
first one.
There's another one I could.
Smaller and bigger one. Does it matter to you? The way I do it? It's another work in progress.
Okay, so how many?
We'll attach the marker right here.
You can put it on the chart.
Hey, we cannot do that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it is, you're the east table, so your metrics go right along there.
How many scissors do we have? We have one scissor. Sheet of paper counts as paper, or
Right.
anything else also counts as paper.
He did talk about.
It's the full sheets, right?
Inventory.
Yeah.
So we can see that we've dropped paper levels, so we definitely consume raw material. And I can see that there was a marginal profitability here for the Western table. They ended up with $1 more on hand than they started out with. This table didn't earn any money. So it is what it is, but that's the statistic I care about. You know, I'm paying you to make some money for me. $1.
You understand? Yeah, absolutely. So you create something like this time.
So I just fold it.
All right. So let's do a little reflection here. First, I see that the Eastern team. This is easy. Your cash on hand. Okay, so your cash on hand has gone up to 6. At least you doubled my investment in this sprint. Okay, I'll give you another. He keeps asking questions, whereas this team over here is not doing the same thing, right?
Okay guys, so one of us will actually share.
I mean, maybe we can adapt it.
Not just Jason, but.
Well, you'll get 3 minutes to plan. We get 3 minutes to plan here. Another thing is people are asking a little bit about process, like what is available to us. I definitely did set you up a little bit by saying we're going to do plan, do, check, act, right? But, you know, then I also said, somebody said, hey, will you come to our retrospective or will you come to our planning session? And they're like, I'm a customer, I don't care. I'll go buy from somebody out in China if my American teams don't deliver. So this time, all this process and things like that are really up to you. You can do what you need. What I care about is productivity and sales. So that time is yours. Somebody else was saying, hey, can you cut faster? How long is it going to take you to do this? I'm hearing people talking about estimation and things like that. Is that helping you out?
Estimation doesn't.
I mean, in our retrospectives, when we are looking at different ways, how we can have more snowflakes in the same amount of time, that is where we are talking about it, but we are not going deeper into it. It's like we are not trying to find, okay, 15 seconds or 20 seconds, that's how we are taking, but yes, we are trying to give a high level focus around it. But ultimately, our focus is on how many we can bring to the market.
Honestly, some feedback on the how long will it take. I think, particularly where we were limited to like a 3-minute sprint, the amount of time for coming up with the estimate, we could generate more snowflakes by then. I don't know if the utility of estimation on this micro scale is as useful as it would be, let's say, if you had a week to plan how many snowflakes we're going to generate.
Yep.
Or the other way around, right? So the fact that the estimation takes the same time as execution means the estimation isn't as exciting. Whereas if we're estimating and then had work for a week, that might be interesting because it's that we're trying, you know, because like you said, that 3 minutes could have been used for snowflakes. So because it's exactly the same time. Because we took 2 weeks to plan a 2-week sprint. We just spent a month that we could have had 2 sprints in.
So I have had executions of this workshop where people say, hey, can we double the length of this sprint? I said, you can do that, but have you ever heard that question back at work? Can we double the length of the sprint?
Yeah.
Does it produce or not?
No.
And I say, we're not here to make snowflakes. We're here to learn about making money, learn about Agile. So I try to hold to that 3-minute time box.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I mean, we are 2 different teams, right? 2 different companies or teams from the same company.
Teams from the same company.
Right? Yeah. So you are not giving us a chance to collaborate at all. That's
I
like
didn't stop you.
right. But that is what I was looking for. Like in one of the before the next sprint, if we can share some of the experiences with each other, and maybe we can learn from each other a bit. I mean, obviously.
Competitors.
Well, that's right.
I never thought about
Yeah.
Nobody ever said
Don't tell
it.
anything.
and maybe that is a wrong thing I will
He seems to have
imagine,
infinite
but
amount
it is
of
not
money.
like that.
Tyagi told him.
We're both.
No.
He made a good point, he's not doing anything to stop us.
That is why I thought that I was sure that he will say that, but I wanted to listen from him first.
This is actually an economy, and there is a limit to the amount of money and paper, but the paper and the money kind of feed back. When there are more teams, like this stack of money becomes cash poor, and I get a lot more picky about the snowflakes if I But, you know, like, it's just, it does turn into interesting economics, but that's not what we're here about either, so.
At this point,
Maybe we should have a retrospective because they're making more money.
It's not about we making more money, it is about maybe something we are doing good or something you are doing good and we can really.
We didn't have a product owner to
yeah,
ask the customer what he really wants.
oh yeah,
We haven't
Okay,
told him what he really
and
gets
then-
to. We only
putting the paper.
Maybe some things are visible, some things are not. You know, you never know what good things you are doing. That is only one aspect.
One last thing I wanted to talk a little bit about is the experiments about bigger and smaller pieces, or bigger and smaller snowflakes, last paper. So I think that's working on waste or something like that. How's that panning out for you?
That again?
For less than $1.
That's okay. I mean, you know, it does not matter. I mean, you know, ultimately it's bringing some money. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously,
right.
we can optimize on what size would give us the optimum money, but that is not enough time we have for really going to that kind of optimization at the moment.
And the point is, you can use waste instead of
Right,
buying
right.
waste.
Correct. Correct.
But I do
You can
think,
turn your waste into money, it's always a good thing.
There's a metric we weren't doing, which I think is related to the one you suggested and we didn't start doing because I decided not to, in my collaborative way, but that we weren't tracking which snowflakes made which money. So when we review our planning, it would have been nice to say, it seemed like at the beginning, the four snowflakes per paper were 25 cents versus $1, which is equal for us, so that was fine. But he started going, he did give us an expensive one for something, and I don't remember. I didn't
Because he
get,
said this, you're gonna love it, it's worth $5,
Right,
and he
so-
said, I'll give you
so-
but I didn't
that's a
drop
great-
that, so I don't know how to pull that into my planning because we didn't.
That's a great insight, and what I'm doing is I'm putting my favorite snowflakes up on the wall.
Oh,
Things that I don't
know you
like.
weren't putting them all on. Yeah.
Well, so far I'm putting my favorite. So as the game goes, I'm actually the ones that I'm not liking. I'm not even buying at the moment.
Right.
But as time goes on, you'll see that only my favorite stuff is on the wall, and as it pretty much goes from left to right.
Favorite to least favorite?
Yeah, pretty much. I should fix it, but
Yeah.
maybe not.
Interesting. So that was part of the, we should do a little more market research and whatnot.
Yeah, when we do retrospective, we can really look how he is, putting the price tag on it. I guess there is one more thing. You are taking snowflakes for us, and then you should put a price tag on each one. And based on that, we should see, which one you are planning to
I'm the
sell.
customer.
You're
I
selling the
don't
customer,
care
you
about
should do
doing
stuff.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, okay. No, I thought my
Yeah,
mistake.
his job as a customer.
I thought that he's selling further. Then we need to see, what kind of sales more.
But that's our job.
I think we should
That's our
switch
job.
over
Yeah, we
to
are the shop.
paper
Okay,
for
so you get 3 minutes.
Okay.
And start
It's
to
for
sell.
planning or doing.
Is it? Well, I'm just going to give you your time boxes at 3 minutes and 3 minutes.
We are planning, right? We are planning it.
Right.
Either way, either way.
Right.
Oh, okay, you're playing.
Okay.
You do what you do. Okay. Somebody has a chance. They're not against stuff.
We are planning on changing it.
Or chase plus whatever.
No. We can have not first.
What are we doing? Are we doing passes or?
Well, the two,
Maybe make squares out of those and then snowflakes out of them, I don't know. I don't know, wait, money for,
We got a marker and colored one.
close to squares.
Rounder the better.
All right, I'll do that.
And more.
It's more like round.
We can put a brand name.
It's
Right.
But
Well, yes, we'll put coach.
so as long as it's round.
Oh, yeah.
Something comes directly from Apple, right?
Yeah, okay. Okay, here's the deal.
I need to do the
They
job.
have to be round. They don't have to be perfectly round, but he likes it. He likes intricate, so this is a little more.
So I'll give you
If you look at the ones up on the right side, you really need more.
You don't like square doors,
Yeah,
right?
so you get a few more holes in it.
Okay, he does not like square guys.
The other thing is,
He only got $1 for that. Wonderful.
$1.
Create, they all don't have to be the same style, so if you can do a couple of holes or
I
something.
wasn't paying attention to the actual process of
Maybe you can make it more interesting.
Yeah, a couple more holes in it. Yeah,
Square.
You are ready.
Well, you have to go back.
Yeah, that's true. Not a product of, I know he's gonna balance this one.
Okay, I'll get you more. Thank you. This will be interesting. Customer.
Oh, you still have those other tables as well.
I would have it just because I've never seen one like it. But in some ways, they only got you don't see symmetry.
By hand is
It doesn't
four.
have my minimum criteria.
Wait,
All right.
don't walk away.
It's not symmetric. Okay, we'll get it.
Very good.
Oh, that's right. I'll give you the outside.
Jill just sold one. I still think we need another pair of scissors, because I feel like I'm sitting around doing nothing here, right? Which is fantastic.
I'll let you clean up the edges.
We deliberately created that, just to.
Symmetry is what he
You
likes.
can work more, but I can only give you $1.
Okay. So, okay. These two?
that's 3 minutes, you have 3 minutes to build.
No, he says,
You can. Absolutely, you can start this by.
Ones we can fix, if you got a pair of scissors.
I'm not interested. You can keep it or whatever. Okay.
what's he not interested?
He was not in the same one. Okay, so that's another problem.
So we what happens?
Okay. Yeah, it was a duplicate, so he was.
Can we get smaller scissors?
Alright, so can we take that one and?
Can I hear your manufacturing process for a second?
Fast. Let me see. I think the problem is the keyword.
So that last one they bought. No, that's way out. They were right on paper for me.
Different. We were just want to make.
I like it, but it's so jagged. I can only really click it.
There are two. Thank you. No, please. We are here to please you. Guys, there were quality issues, but we solved it. This one you will $5 for sure. Customer.
Be the first on the block.
Customer.
Even we can. So it's not each group.
Are we at 2 or 3? I'm following.
More access, I need at least 3 access.
He likes colored stuff.
You know what? You know, but you just need to put colors on the paper.
I should not be emptying it, right?
You have to be nice to your coworkers.
Customer.
And this is how we end up. I got a small one for this.
Not exactly
You know
like
what?
that.
That's done.
What $1? Okay, please.
How much time do we have left?
Thank you.
Simple,
I'm still empty-handed.
Circles?
Yes.
We're holding.
Jump in.
exactly.
We need to put it better, right?
Alright, so
This one, that's
please make sure that you've got your metrics up to date.
So we
You just want to
different shape, completely different.
We got one
Pieces of paper, $3.
Okay, we should probably buy one.
Are we still into the game or we stop?
So we're putting scissors down now. This is where I actually pose scissors down. And make sure your metrics are up to date. I can buy things.
Team, do you like this?
Oh, we got a
Very
bunch.
good.
I think very well.
Cash on hand?
I'm like, 50 cents, he said. You know, I told the other team they like color others, maybe we should
Okay,
trade
we
them.
just
That's what I'm doing now. I mean, obviously.
So you're doing
If you really look at what he's doing,
any pending sales are closed and
How much
then
paper we got?
Okay, we have to.
We've got, 1, 2, 3,
Is it, is it?
4 pieces of paper. Oh, we got three.
We're gonna finish that next spring.
Yeah.
We don't need any Nexus.
We only got $4.
Don't ship that one.
$4.
Look at
Let's have that, have that.
Okay, we got working process, we got 1, 2, 3,
One because of sales, not because
4.
I'm gonna try to turn this 50 into a
Oh, sorry, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, I would say.
as well.
That includes the 50 centers that we can't sell yet, and
That's
rejects.
correct.
We got more rejects?
No, it's not a reject.
Yeah, I got one reject.
We reject.
We refused to do this because it has one reject.
We thought about fixing. No, reject. Okay.
All right, so this time we got $4. So the East team. Wait.
Doubled our on-hand money.
Why am I so confused? This is East, right?
Yeah.
So I drew the arrows the wrong way? That's why I'm so confused.
We should track them in separate sheet of paper.
That would be why.
So it's east is this way,
Yeah.
and west is that way.
Canada or Europe instead of going to Somalia or something.
Is that a little bit of a spoiler? Because the point was figuring out to go to him as the customer. So we don't want to.
Yeah, you
We
don't-
don't want to.
Yeah.
It might not matter so much because you picked that up. I've only seen a few people say that even before we sit down and start working, and they were small business owners. Like I piloted this with my family, and then I go out and do this with dev teams, and the dev teams it took 3 iterations for them to figure out, go talk to the customer. But then when they hit it, and they never forget, right? And having that emotional response, I mean, it's rigged to get, that's why I'm worried about the spoiler, but it still worked with you knowing that. There's still a lot of room to make yourself into a learning organization and optimize that.
But it is that end-to-end process.
Yeah.
Not just, sometimes we get so caught up in our methodology of how we're doing things, but if we can make all the things we want in the world, if it's not customer in the end, it doesn't matter what we do and how well we do it.
Yeah.
But
It's
it
that
went
process.
a little beyond that. What I asked was about can we and get feedback from you in the middle of the process.
Yeah.
One, I didn't know that we could all actually sell in the middle of the process. But second was, we still didn't quite complete the loop on that. We can get feedback from you, but I'm not, as we keep coming back to, I don't think we completely completed that loop. That's a good learning thing. Even though we came into it knowing we needed feedback, we still didn't learn how to do it completely.
Guys, I have a question here. How many of you guys follow Scrum or sprints or iterations? Right? If the question is like you're going to talk to the customer, come back and change things midway during a sprint. Is that acceptable?
Yes. That is
Well,
what we do all the time.
We are not really. We are still making snowflakes, but suddenly you say like, hey, we are going to be making something different. How would they perceive it? So how is it practically?
That's a hang up you need to get over.
Think about it. You are working on a sprint of 10 days, like mostly 2-week sprints, and you start with 5-7 stories, right? What you do, or plus 2-3 defects. I mean, mostly that is what happens. What you do, I mean, in the first 2 days you are done with the defects. I mean, somebody would make sure that they are done. Somebody would go to the product owner, get the feedback. In the meanwhile, you will get a couple of stories getting into process. You will have something running, getting ready on your continuous integration server through that, and you will just show it to the product owner on the 5th day. The reality is if you show everything in the last 2 days, you will get only 25% of the things done. But if you collaborate more, you will at least get 70% done in the sprint. I mean, I've never seen teams getting 100% all the time, but yes, 70%, 80% is a very good benchmark if they are able to get final acceptance from the product owner at the end of the sprint. You can change it. You can change it. Otherwise, you will delay at least by 1 or 2 days. I mean, whatever. You should be able to change things.
So there's also a skill for the team to in the snowflake example, right? If we go to another snowflake that is easily correctable or easily modifiable, then we can take that learning now. But then the more complicated ones, we take that learning and use it for the next sprint. So there's some learnings we use now, some we use for next, and then there's the strength of saying, so for when we're not selling directly to customer, we worry about scope creep, right? That's our job to figure out which things can we handle in the sprint, which ones can we put into our plan.
See, I'm more thinking like in terms of maturity. Once the team starts maturing and realizing that there is value in delivering software to the customer more frequently, then they would actually be open to change during mid-sprint. Right? I mean, you know that you're building something wrong, okay? Then it actually makes sense to kind of change something because you got feedback from the customer. But if they are so waterfallish, I think introducing this might actually kind of screw them up and we'll all be just chaos all over.
I want to say something on this.
depends on what you say as a change. You know, change is not something, I mean, you know, it's like you're just completely removing the story, or you're just, a customer is saying on the third day, okay, no, forget about these 5 stories, I'm coming with the 5 stories. But here you are changing about the story. I mean, like when you're developing something, an interface, or you know, a service, and you are just showcasing him how this is working, and if you want, he's coming up with a small change, that's not a change, that is something you are getting, I mean, going in the right direction.
So I think we should take this offline.
It's just that creative, you didn't hear Sunny because you were creating your own thing, but then you were doing the colors and the A and the whole thing. So that's why, I mean, we had simultaneous creativity going on, which was pretty cool. And in the end, we made money both ways. So it didn't really matter that you were doing your thing. It still was okay. But that creativity, I know that was in your, it was in that synopsis. But I don't know if it said enough about that creative process.
The other thing I don't think any team did, just as a point, was when we got the feedback, neither one of the product owners grabbed a piece of paper, wrote up, says, here's the things we know we like, so we can focus on those things.
But you did, we did say it needs to be made explicit and the information needs to go back to the teams. And I don't know if that happened. I know there were a couple of sprints after we said that needs to happen. Did it? It did better. Okay.
We're getting it.
Okay.
I don't think we need it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But I remember we got the visuals. Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
You could, while everybody's really busy, you could sort of sneak a different snowflake up there that's got 6-way symmetry, and then all of a sudden you stop by and because from some other part of the world you found 6-way symmetries and now you're onto that.
Yeah.
And it's going to take the teams a while scratching their heads to discover it's hanging there, and we won't know where it came from, and we'll say, oh, you know what I mean? You have to get clued in. That could be an interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like I could start making my own dream.
It happens in real markets, right? All of a sudden, the man just went nowhere, and you have to go figure out what happened. You know, that could be.
Yeah.
And when we talk about marketing, I think emphasizing the idea of a learning culture.
Yeah.
In there is really good. Not just a learning culture, but a learning culture where the feedback loop goes all the way to the customer.
Yeah.
It's really, I think, the key things that capture what we do in this game.
Yes, the money piece of it does, he just said profitable. I mean, I think the fact that you're adding value, it's a true game.
It's a cash game.
Yeah, and that's being in the economics as well as the customer into the learning organization.
Yeah, what I really like about it is that it's not, like sometimes we try and come up with a game to shed to encourage people to become a learning organization. And what we reward things that are sort of artificial, whereas this was reward for learning from the customer directly.
Yes.
It really was, it didn't feel artificially that we just stuck monopoly money in the middle, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just that you're making a learning organization, it's that you're learning about stuff that your customer.
So actually, last year I put, we had a similar type thing last year, keeping track, but I don't remember the other thing, it was from the creative customer standards, like, you're gonna build something, and we had to figure out where to build it, but we never really worked at getting feedback from the customer. We're tracking all the metrics.
Well,
I really like this one, from
Yeah.
the standpoint of realizing we have to talk with customers.
It's really touching to have, you know, a community of game experts say, hey, this is worth keeping. So thank you.
One question I have, I mean, you can play this game with different kind of people, like students, like developers, like middle level managers, and CXOs. What you feel, I mean, one person to take care of when he's playing it with 3-4 different kind of people?
It doesn't change. It doesn't matter. And like the rules don't change. It's just the learning amongst the tables may go faster.
So what is the learning you had when you played this game with, with CXOs and versus other set of people? Is there any difference you see in terms of the outcome?
Yeah. There's definitely a different outcome. They learn quicker. They know some of the principles already, so they get to optimizing the teamwork, and they focus on slightly different things to get to a point where they're a profitable learning culture.
How if you're running with multiple customers, your role with multiple, you mentioned that sometimes you have helpers.
Yeah.
How does that affect it? It seems like seems odd to be chasing one customer, and I think, like, well, that could be one of those learnings about, we might decide to chase this market, while you guys chase a different market, and we still all be okay. I don't.
So some of the things that happen is that somebody will show a snowflake to me, it doesn't sell, and they'll run over and show it to the next person, and then it will sell. So then some of the learning gets a little bit more fuzzy. But on the other hand, like I tell these people, like I'm the official buyer, you have to ultimately satisfy me, and so they become proxies, and then the learning becomes more obtuse, and that's realistic. There's so many times when we have a proxy product owner is not good enough to know the real business, and when that's bad, when that training is bad, then the output is bad, right? So if you've got a really good proxy PO, then it can be okay. So that's a learning all by itself. It just adds another layer of complexity, but it's not out of touch with real life.